He chose his ex over his family in a fire, and regretted it when it was too late. Please stay with me as I tell my story. And please, do not forget to support our channel by subscribing to our channel, liking our videos, and sharing your loved one. Your support means the world to us. Now to our story. The smell of smoke hit first, sharp, choking. No one even realized the fire had started until the alarms screamed and the lights flickered. 1 minute, we were in the living room with cake and music. The next, people were shouting, grabbing kids, running. It was supposed to be a simple family dinner. My husband, our daughter Lily, my brother and his wife, and for some reason I still don't understand, his ex, Jenna. He said she was just in town for a day, and it would be rude not to invite her. I let it slide. Big mistake. When the fire started, I didn't think. I just bolted upstairs. I knew Lily was in her room. The hallway was already filled with smoke. I could barely see. I screamed her name and pushed into the room. She was crying in the corner, holding her stuffed bear. I wrapped her in a blanket and tried to get back out, but the smoke was too thick. My lungs were burning. I collapsed halfway down the stairs with her in my arms. That's the last thing I remember. I woke up on the grass outside, coughing and shaking. My brother was next to me, red-faced, arms scratched up. He said he carried me out but couldn't find Lily. I looked around, hoping, praying, someone had gone back for her. Then I saw him, my husband, walking out of the house, barely holding up Jenna, his ex, like she was the one worth saving. He passed right by me, didn't even look at me, just dropped down next to Jenna and told someone to call 911, like she was his whole world. I wanted to scream, but nothing came out. I just stared. The fire took Lily. They found her the next morning, curled up in the hallway, just a few steps from the stairs. I didn't cry. I didn't yell. I didn't ask why. I just stood up and walked away. Past my husband, past Jenna, past the flashing lights and the neighbors watching from their lawn. I didn't say a word. He didn't chase after me. He made his choice in that fire. And I made mine. They called him a hero. The newspapers ran his photo, soot on his face, arms around Jenna as they stumbled out of the fire. Local man saves woman from blaze. Strangers sent him flowers. A church down the street held a candlelight vigil. For him, no one knew the truth. No one knew Lily died alone in that house while her father chose to save someone he used to love. The funeral was quiet. Too quiet. No speeches. No music. Just a closed casket and a mother who hadn't said a word since the night it happened. I stood next to my brother. My husband stood on the other side of the casket. Not beside me. He tried to speak once, reached for my hand during the service. I pulled away without looking at him. My brother stepped in between us and never moved. Jenna wasn't there. She was still in the hospital, recovering from smoke inhalation. He visited her every day. I didn't ask. I didn't need to. He told a few people it was just guilt, that he needed closure. But he came home smelling like her shampoo. One night, I found her necklace on our bathroom counter. He had already moved her into his story, the tragic survivor, the one who got away, and somehow returned just in time for him to play the savior. What he didn't realize, what he never even considered, was that people were watching. Not strangers. Not the internet. Family. My brother never said much, but his eyes followed every move. He didn't forgive easily. My mother, quiet and polite at the funeral, told me days later in the kitchen, he'll pay for what he did. Don't lift a finger. Just wait. Even his own sister stopped returning his calls. My cousin, who always worshipped him, unfollowed him on every social media app. People smiled in public, but in private they whispered. Something wasn't right. And then it started. Anonymous messages. A photo of him leaving Jenna's hospital room at midnight. A screenshot of a text from him to Jenna. I should have left her years ago. No one told him we were collecting, watching, waiting. He thought the worst was over, that he got away with it. But grief has a long memory. And families, real families, don't forget. Not when you let a child burn. He showed up to my mother's house 3 days after the funeral, holding a pie like it was still Thanksgiving. I didn't open the door. She did. He stood there awkwardly, in clean jeans and a shirt that didn't quite fit right, like he dressed for sympathy. Please, he said. I just want to talk. My mother looked at the pie, then at him. She stepped outside and shut the door behind her. I watched from the upstairs window. They spoke quietly at first. Then she raised her voice. You buried your soul in that fire, she told him, loud enough for the entire neighborhood to hear. Whatever was left of you died the second you left your child behind. He tried to explain, said he didn't know what he was doing, that it was instinct, that the smoke had confused him. She didn't buy it. None of us did. He left without saying goodbye. Left the pie on the steps. It rained that night. We left it there until the ants found it. After that, everything fell apart. My entire side of the family blocked him. My brother told him never to come near his house again. My aunt returned a birthday card he sent with every word crossed out in red ink. Even my quiet cousin from Wisconsin, who never took sides in anything, texted me to say, he's dead to us. His own parents weren't so sure. His mom tried to reach out to me to talk it through. I didn't respond. His dad posted some long Facebook status about how people act differently in trauma, and we shouldn't rush to judge. It didn't matter, because the internet had already found the story. One of the neighbors, the one who filmed everything that night, posted the footage. Him running out of the house, carrying Jenna, me unconscious on the grass. No Lily. The comments were brutal. People fought in threads that went on for hours. Half blamed him, half blamed me. Some said he saved the one he loved. Others said he was a monster. Through it all, I said nothing. Until the day I did. I didn't post a long message. I didn't explain myself. I just posted a photo. Lily's stuffed bear. Burn around the edges. Lying in the grass next to a pair of small shoes. No caption. Within a day, it was everywhere. Shared. Reposted. Covered by blogs. No words. No defense. Just that image. That's all it took. It didn't take long before Jenna moved in. He didn't even try to hide it. 1 week he was posting about grief and healing. The next he was uploading a picture of their new beginning. Her sitting on the porch swing in my old robe, holding his dog like she belonged there. They made it official online. He changed his relationship status. She posted a mirror selfie in our old bathroom with the caption, starting fresh black heart. People either ignored it or liked it. No one asked questions anymore. At least, not publicly. What they didn't show was how fast things started falling apart. Jenna drank. A lot. Maybe she was guilty too. Maybe she just didn't care. Either way, she started showing up drunk to places, grocery store, gym, even one of his work events. At first, he laughed it off. She's just dealing with trauma. But people noticed. Especially one woman. A friend of a friend. Someone who knew Jenna from high school and ran into her at a bar one night. They talked. Jenna was already 3 drinks in. At first, it was just complaining. The house smelled weird. He cried in his sleep. He wasn't as fun as she remembered. But then her voice dropped. She leaned in. He didn't save me because he loved me, she said, words slurring just slightly. He saved me because he wanted to make his wife hurt. The woman blinked, asked her to repeat it. Jenna laughed. You think he cared about me? He saw her running for that kid, and he wanted her to suffer. I was just available. She kept talking, spilling more. How he ignored his daughter for months before the fire. How he told her, if Lily wasn't around, maybe we'd still have a shot. The woman pulled out her phone. Hit record. She didn't say a word. Just let Jenna keep digging her own grave. 2 days later, the clip showed up on Reddit. Posted anonymously. Titled, She Admits It, the real reason her ex saved her in the fire. It exploded. The comments were vicious. People clipped the quote, made memes, stitched it with the funeral photos. Even his defenders, the ones who said maybe it was just instinct, went quiet. Because now it wasn't just a bad choice. Now it was planned, calculated, cruel. And this time he couldn't say a word. Because it wasn't his wife telling the world. It was the woman he burned everything for. While he played house with Jenna and posed for Instagram like nothing happened, I stayed quiet. But I was watching. I never posted again after the photo of Lily's bear. I didn't respond to messages or give interviews. People thought I was hiding, that I'd disappeared into grief. I hadn't. I was planning. It started small. I met someone through a friend, someone outside the gossip, outside the story. His name was Ryan. He didn't ask questions, didn't treat me like I was broken. We met for coffee, then dinner, then again. He was kind. And he was a lawyer. Not the flashy kind. Quiet. Sharp. Careful with every word. I told him the whole story one night, not for pity. Just facts. The fire. The choice. The aftermath. He listened, then asked just one thing. Do you want to let it go? Or do you want to make it count? I didn't even hesitate. We filed the paperwork a month later. Wrongful death. Emotional negligence. Reckless endangerment of a minor. He was served at work. Apparently, he laughed when he read the first page. Said out loud, she's desperate. But he didn't realize what was coming. Because with the lawsuit came discovery. We had access to everything, texts, emails, footage, testimony. Jenna tried to backpedal her confession, but it was too late. The internet never forgets. Especially not Reddit. The story made the local news. Then national. Father sued by wife over fire that killed daughter. They showed the clip of Jenna slurring her confession. Commentators debated it on podcasts. Strangers started tagging his employer, his friends, his parents. Still, he wasn't worried. Not until the will was opened. Lily's will. She had written it for a school project, a mock assignment. Her teacher had all the kids write, in case you ever became a fairy or a ghost. Cute, innocent. But Lily took it seriously. She wrote, if I go away, I want mommy to have my bear. And daddy can have the couch because he sleeps there anyway. Then in shaky handwriting at the bottom, I want mommy to be happy again. And I hope daddy stops being mad all the time. We submitted it as evidence. Not because it was legal, because it was honest. He read it in court. in front of everyone, and for the first time he didn't laugh. He didn't say anything at all. It was buried in the cloud, inside an old school email account I didn't even know she had. Lily's third-grade teacher sent it to me months after the fire. Said she only just remembered. Each student had recorded little video diaries as part of a digital time capsule. Most were silly, favorite colors, dream jobs, things like that. Lily's was different. She sat in her bedroom, hair in a messy ponytail, her favorite bear beside her. She smiled at first, talked about how she wanted to be a vet, how she liked when Mommy let her eat pancakes for dinner. Then her voice dropped. Daddy doesn't love me anymore, she said, looking down at her lap. He only smiles when she's here. The lady with the shiny shoes. My breath caught. She meant Jenna. She picked up her bear and held it close, eyes wide like she was scared to say the rest. Sometimes I think maybe he wishes I wasn't here. She looked straight at the camera. But Mommy loves me. She always comes back. I couldn't move. Ryan watched the whole video in silence, jaw tight. Then he added it to the court file. The judge hesitated to admit it at first. It wasn't traditional evidence. But Ryan argued it spoke to state of mind. And more importantly, it was Lily's own words. The jury watched it on the third day of trial. No music, no editing, just her little voice, soft and clear in that cold courtroom. By the time it ended, one juror was crying. He stared straight ahead, hands clenched, jaw twitching. Didn't look at me, didn't look at anyone. He knew what was coming next. After court, he stumbled into the parking lot and sat down on the curb, head in his hands, shaking. He thought no one was watching, but someone was. A teenager across the street caught it on video. No sound, just him sobbing into his palms beside his car, suit wrinkled, tie pulled loose. The caption? The man who chose the wrong person in a fire, and now realizes it. It went viral within hours, but not the way he hoped. People didn't feel sorry. They called it karma, called it too late. Commenters pointed out how quiet he'd been during trial, how he only showed emotion when he was the one hurting. The internet turned on him hard. Whatever sympathy he had left burned away, just like everything else. It started with the front gate left open. Then her toothbrush was gone. Then the closet, half empty. At first, he thought she was just mad, maybe hiding out at a friend's. But after 2 days and no word, he finally checked the kitchen counter. There was a note, folded once. No envelope, just her handwriting. You were never the man I remembered, it said. You're just a coward trying to punish someone braver than you. That was it. No signature. No goodbye. Nothing else. She was gone. No social media. No phone calls. Her number disconnected. A neighbor said they saw her driving off around midnight with 2 bags in the back seat. Alone. The media didn't help. Her name had been dragged into every article, every thread, every viral clip. People started tagging her, digging up her old photos, calling her a homewrecker and worse. Some even threatened her. She cracked. And when she vanished, she took what little cover he had left. He was on his own now. And then Ryan stepped in. It happened on a Monday morning. The courtroom was half full. Everyone expected a slow day, more statements, maybe a delay. But Ryan stood up and handed the judge a new document, an email Jenna had sent just before she disappeared. It was short. She admitted she never asked to be saved, that she didn't even know where Lily was in the house, that she didn't scream or call out for anyone. She froze. And he chose her anyway. Then she wrote the sentence that changed everything. He told me, if she sees me save you, she'll never forgive me. And maybe that's what she deserves. The courtroom went still. Even the judge paused. It was the final blow. Ryan didn't raise his voice. He didn't need to. He simply turned to the jury and said, there was no confusion, no panic, just a choice, made to hurt. The defense lawyer sat down without a word. Outside, reporters swarmed, cameras flashing, microphones raised. But he didn't speak. He walked out alone. No Jenna, no family, just silence. He finally looked for me in the crowd. I didn't look back, because now everyone knew. This wasn't a tragic mistake. It was revenge. And now it had come full circle. The courtroom was packed, not just with lawyers and reporters, but with neighbors, teachers, old friends who hadn't spoken to us in years. People came to watch like it was a show. But for me, it wasn't a show. It was the end of something. They called my name to the stand. I walked up slowly. No papers. No notes. Just me. For the first time since the fire, I was going to speak. He looked up as I passed him. I didn't stop. I sat down, faced the jury, and took a breath. I've heard a lot these past few months, I began. About trauma. About panic. About how hard it is to make choices in a crisis. I paused, looked directly at him. But it wasn't hard for him. He didn't fail us. He chose to. The room went quiet. He saw me go into that fire. He knew our daughter was upstairs. And when the moment came, he turned around and went for someone else. My voice didn't shake. Lily wasn't lost in the smoke. She wasn't trapped behind fire. She was waiting. She died thinking no one was coming for her. I stopped there. Not because I ran out of things to say, but because that was all they needed to hear. My brother went up next. He didn't say much. Just looked at him and said, "You should have stayed in the fire." My mother followed. She read a letter Lily had written to her before the fire, talking about how she wanted to grow up and be like Mommy, strong and kind. Then she folded it and said, "She didn't get that chance. Because of you." Even his own sister gave a statement. "We all knew he was drifting away," she said. But no one expected this. Not even Jenna. He tried to speak after that. Tried to ask for the floor. The judge let him, briefly. But as soon as he stood, the murmurs began. Chairs creaked. People shifted. No one listened. Even the jury avoided his eyes. The words never came out. He sat down again, quietly. When the verdict was read, there was no gasp, no cheering. Just one word. Guilty. Wrongful death. Emotional negligence. Endangerment. He didn't look shocked. He looked like he'd been waiting to hear it all along. And I finally felt something I hadn't in a long time. Not peace. Not victory. Just done. They stripped it all away. The house gone. Sold to cover the settlement. His pension drained. Half to me. The rest eaten by legal fees. The savings account he once guarded like gold? Empty. Frozen, then liquidated. He moved into a rental apartment across town. 1 bedroom. Carpet stained. No porch swing. No framed pictures. Just bare walls and boxes he never fully unpacked. The court ordered weekly therapy, but he skipped the first few sessions. Claimed he was too busy. They threatened to revoke his license. That got his attention. They also assigned him community service. 200 hours at a local fire department's education center. The irony was too perfect. He wore a reflective vest and handed out smoke alarm pamphlets to strangers who didn't recognize him, at first. Until someone did. The ex. Jenna never came back to town. But she wasn't done. Somewhere, miles away, she sent an anonymous tip to a small documentary team that had been digging into viral court cases. She gave them what they needed. Her emails, texts, hospital records, old voice memos. The crew reached out to everyone. I declined. Politely. Others didn't. My brother gave them the raw footage from the fire, the one the neighbor shot from across the street. My mother gave them Lily's letter. Ryan gave them the court transcripts. The title of the series? Worst Husbands in History. His face was on the poster. They aired it in 5 parts. Each episode more brutal than the last. Viewers ate it up. Podcasts debated whether he was a sociopath or just a coward. TikTokers reenacted Jenna's drunken confession. One clip even went viral where a therapist broke down the psychology of weaponized neglect. He tried to stay quiet, tried to pretend it didn't bother him, until someone recognized him at the grocery store. A kid, maybe 16, shouted across the aisle, "Hey, you're the guy who let his kid die, right?" Everyone turned. He didn't respond, just left his cart in the aisle and walked out. Ratings for the show soared. He couldn't go anywhere without feeling it. The stares, the whispers, the phones lifted just a little too high. He became a ghost in his own life. And still no apology. Not once. Not a message. Not a call. Not even a single "I'm sorry" to Lily's grave. He didn't lose everything in the fire. But everything he kept? It turned to ash anyway. It came in a plain white envelope, years after the trial, after the documentaries, after everyone stopped talking about it. No return address. Just his name, slightly misspelled. He almost threw it out. But something about it felt different. So he opened it. Inside was a short note, handwritten. This was found in an old folder from the art room. Thought you should have it. Signed, Ms. Reyes, school counselor. Taped to the note was a folded sheet of paper, construction paper, faded at the edges. A child's drawing. 4 stick figures stood side by side in crayon. One had long yellow hair. One had glasses. One was tiny and holding a teddy bear. Above them, in purple marker, were the words, "Me, Mommy, Daddy, and Fire Dog." Fire Dog was a red, smiling Dalmatian. A made-up superhero Lily used to draw. She believed he protected families from getting hurt, that he could sniff out sadness and chase it away. He stared at the drawing for a long time. His hands trembled. Then, without warning, he broke. The sob hit him in the chest, loud and ugly. He doubled over on the couch, holding that little paper like it was made of glass. He hadn't cried at the funeral, hadn't cried during the trial. Not even when Jenna vanished, or when the show aired, or when people spat his name like a curse. But now, alone in his silent apartment, years too late, he finally cried. He whispered her name like it would bring her back. It didn't. There was no one to hear him, no one to comfort him. His parents had passed quietly the year before. His sister never answered his calls. Jenna was gone, maybe in another country by now. Ryan had married the woman he once called his wife, and together, they'd started over. There were photos online. A new baby. Smiles that looked real. They had moved on. Everyone had. Except him. He looked back at the drawing, traced each figure with his finger. She'd still drawn him. She still believed back then that they were a family, that he was worth saving. He folded the drawing carefully and slid it back into the envelope. Then he sat there, and he didn't move for a very long time.